proudly local tune from One Boucher titled Goa Honda. This is the OFM Business Hour. It's 6:15. On to our first conversation on the show. President Cyril Ramaphosa will tomorrow evening present his State of the Nation address from the Cape Town City Hall. What should we expect, more or less? Well, some pundits believe we should expect a positive tone from this year's SONA. My colleagues Nandem Bame spoke to Roxanna Naidoo, Head of Global Strategy at Latita Africa, on this.
I am speaking to Roxanna Naidoo, Head of Global Strategy at Latita Africa, on expectations for tomorrow's SONA. How is the President expected to use SONA to reinforce public confidence in the government of national unity and highlight its key achievements?
So I expect that the President is going to use the State of the Nation address as a platform to showcase the GNU's stability and effectiveness. Given the initial skepticism about a multi-party government, he will likely highlight areas where collaboration has led to real progress. We'll probably see an emphasis on policy cooperation, economic achievements, and then efforts to maintain social cohesion. That said, public confidence won't be built on words alone, so people will want to see tangible results. So it's important that he backs up his statements with clear evidence of impact.
With load shedding nearly eliminated, what measures are in place to ensure long-term energy stability and prevent future crises?
So the focus now shifts to maintaining long-term energy security. And then I believe the President will outline ongoing investments in renewable energy, the private sector involvement in generation, and improvements to the national grid. Then the just energy transition. That will also be a key talking point because it ensures sustainability while addressing the economic realities of coal-dependent communities. And then regulatory reforms are another important piece of the puzzle. If we want to prevent another energy crisis, we need to have streamlined policies that encourage innovation and investment in the sector.
And then what updates can we expect in SONA regarding Transnet's turnaround and its ability to support economic growth?
That's a good one. So Transnet's turnaround is one of the major areas to watch out for. While the reported return to profitability is encouraging, I think most South Africans will be most interested in whether or not it's actually improving services. Businesses rely on efficient ports and rail infrastructure, and persistent inefficiencies have been a major bottleneck for economic growth. So I do expect the President to talk about operational rehabilitation, also restructuring, and then also partnerships with the private sector to modernize logistics. I think the ultimate goal should be making South Africa's transport network globally competitive again.
And then how is South Africa leveraging its G20 presidency and BRICS leadership to drive economic growth and global influence?
South Africa's leadership in the G20 and BRICS gives us an opportunity to shape global economic policies in a way that benefits not just us, but the broader African continent. I think the President will highlight how we are using these platforms to attract investment, secure fairer trade terms, and then also advocate for Africa's industrialization as a whole. And then the expansion of BRICS also creates new trade and cooperation opportunities. But the real test is turning these diplomatic wins into real economic benefits at home. It's one thing to have a seat at the table, but quite another to translate that influence into job creation and economic growth.
And now, given the ongoing economic challenges, what commitments is the President likely to make in SONA to tackle youth unemployment and job creation?
Yes, youth employment remains a critical issue, and I do expect the President to reaffirm commitments to skills development, but also for entrepreneurship, investment in high growth sectors like technology, manufacturing, and a big one is definitely the green energy. But also public-private partnerships will likely play a big role because businesses need incentives to hire young people and invest in long-term employment rather than temporary job schemes. So the challenge is making these initiatives translate into real, sustained opportunities and not just short-term fixes. So I'll be looking for concrete policy measures rather than broad statements of intent.
And then with global uncertainty and domestic challenges, how does the government balance celebration with realism in its 2025 outlook?
I think the President will aim for a tone of cautious optimism. So there's no doubt that we've seen progress, especially in areas like energy security and global positioning, but there are still major economic and social issues that can't be ignored. And as we all know, crime, corruption, unemployment, those remain significant challenges. So the key for the government will be to strike the right balance. On the one side, acknowledging successes without downplaying, on the other side, the work that still needs to be done. The bottom line is that in an unpredictable global landscape, resilience and adaptability will be critical, and I expect the president to emphasize the need for both.
The Business Hour on OFM.
It's Roxanna Naidoo, Head of Global Strategy at Latita Africa. She was giving you a general overview of the issues that are expected to be addressed by President Cyril Ramaphosa tomorrow evening in his State of the Nation address. Now, in line with the Expropriation Act, we're going to hear from Free SA Director Paul